Hello everyone. Welcome back to What's Cooking CGH. This is the CGH Health Foundation cooking program where we show you how to make very easy, healthy recipes that don't cost a lot of money usually. And that is the kind of one of the key features of today's program. I'm going to show you how to make some vegetable soup. And there are a lot of great reasons to make soup for yourself at home, and this is a great time of year to eat soup. It's cold outside. I love having soup for meals. And the recipe I'm going to make today is a vegetable soup. And I'm going to get started with it, and then I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why I think it's very important that we make our own soup. So I have my pot here over kind of medium-high heat, and what I've done already is to put in about 1/4 cup of vegetable broth. And I'm going to use the vegetable broth to saute my onions. I've got about 1/2 cup of red onion that has been diced small, and you can use any kind of onion that you want. I just happen to have that red onion. And so we're going to put that in the vegetable broth, and I'm going to let it kind of soften in there for 4 or 5 minutes. And while that is getting softened, let me tell you a few of the reasons that you should consider making your own soup. First of all, anytime I think about purchasing any canned item, and soup is a real good example of this, I always consider the sodium content. So I did purchase this can of savory vegetable soup, and I looked at the sodium content, and so this can is about 2 servings, and I know many people will eat the whole can. If you look at the sodium content for 1 serving, so a little over half of the can, it has 770 milligrams of sodium. Most of us probably don't know how much sodium we should be eating or not be eating every day. And too much sodium in the diet has been linked to lots of health situations. Most of us know that a high sodium diet can be bad for our blood pressure, and that is true. But also a very high sodium diet has also been linked to various stomach cancers, osteoporosis. So there's very good reason for us to be watching our sodium intake. So like I was saying, this can in 1 serving has 770 milligrams. Well, there's over 2 servings in the can. And so for the whole can, 1,680 milligrams of sodium. Okay. According to the American Heart Association, healthy people should be getting less than 2,300 milligrams a day. But for people who are over 50 years old, who have diabetes, who have kidney disease, who may be Black or Hispanic, and there are other conditions also that are included in there, they should be getting 1,500 milligrams or less. Well, if you add up all the people in the United States that are over 50 years old and they have high blood pressure and have diabetes, etc., that's over half of the U.S. population. So really most of us should be aiming for that 1,500 milligrams a day or less. And so this can of soup would have more than your whole day's allowance of sodium. So to me, that's the best reason for making my own soup, so I can control that kind of thing. Another reason that is great for making your own soup is the cost. Now, this can was not expensive, and most people wouldn't think anything of paying $2 for a can of soup. I added up the cost of all of my ingredients for just the basic soup that I'm making today. So I have a whole quart of chicken broth, and this was about $2 for the chicken broth. I'm also putting in 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and these were on sale. I got them for $1 a can, so there's $4 total. The other thing that is going in are 2 bags of frozen mixed vegetables, and that's why I got the onions started first, because this soup comes together really fast. The only thing that takes any time really is chopping that onion. And speaking of the onion, my onion was 50 cents and I used half of it, so it's about 1/4 for the onion. The other thing that I'm going to add is about a can of red kidney beans, and they were on sale, and I got those 10 cans for $7, so 70 cents for my kidney beans. I didn't throw in the cost of the spices because the spices in this soup are ones that most everybody has at home. So of course, if you did have to go out and buy the spices, you would be adding a little more to the cost of this soup. Italian seasoning goes in, chili powder, which seems kind of weird for vegetable soup, but trust me, the soup doesn't taste like chili. And then garlic powder or granulated garlic, whatever kind of garlic. Or if you had fresh garlic, you could use fresh garlic cloves. But that's all the ingredients. And like I said, for the basic soup recipe, I came in under $7 for 12 cups of soup. It works out to about 66 cents per serving. So about half the cost of the can of soup. So that's another great reason. And since we're speaking of cans, here's another good reason to watch not just soups, but other canned products that you buy. So luckily, the not ingredient, but the issue I'm going to talk about does not appear in this soup. And that is a chemical called bisphenol A. And so if you've noticed, if you look closely at cans, you're going to see messages, and this one has it, probably can't read it, maybe you can, it says non-BPA lining. So that bisphenol, or BPA as they've shortened it, is a chemical that's been used to make plastics and epoxies since the 1960s. And what happens is if they put food in a can that's lined with BPA, some of that seeps into the soup. And you get enough of that in your system, for kids in particular, it is not good for their brain. There's been a link to it for blood pressure issues. And if you don't use very many canned products, I wouldn't worry about it at all. But manufacturers have kind of caught on to that the consumer is a little bit more aware. And so anytime I buy canned stuff, I look for that somewhere on the label that it's non-BPA. But then again, if you don't eat a whole lot of canned stuff, you don't have to worry too much about it. So my onion has been in this broth for a few minutes now, and it is getting softened. The next thing I'm going to add are my spices. And I always do this if I'm making this kind of dish, is I put the spices in first with the aromatic vegetables, and it kind of helps to bloom them or warm them up a little bit. I think it improves the flavor. I'm going to start off with the Italian seasoning, and we're going to put 2 whole tablespoons of Italian seasoning in this soup. This is a really flavorful soup. Got 2 tablespoons of the Italian seasoning. I'm going to add the chili powder, so 1 tablespoon of the chili powder, just thrown in there on top of the onions. And then for the garlic powder, it's 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Didn't get my spoon out, but often I measure in my hand like that. Okay, so those are the spices that went in, and I'm just going to toss them around in there. And you're not going to leave it that way for very long. You want to be careful that they don't burn, but just a minute or so, and you'll smell them. You know, the kitchen starts to smell really good, like all of those spices that are in there. Okay, now optional ingredient, if you wanted to add this, if you like your soup maybe with a little bit of more of a kick, would be some cayenne pepper. And I do like that. I'm just going to put a couple shakes in there because a little bit of that goes a long way. Totally optional. You don't have to add the cayenne pepper if you don't think everybody in your family is going to appreciate it. Okay, so the spices have been in there long enough. Time to add all the rest of the ingredients. So I've got 2 14.5-ounce cans of crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes. You can even use tomato sauce if you wanted to. That's all going right in the pot. I've got those 2 bags of frozen mixed vegetables, and the mix that I chose was a pretty basic one. It's got peas and green beans and corn and carrots in it. And that's 2 12-ounce bags. It works out to about 5 cups of frozen mixed vegetables. You can see what I said about this coming together fast, right? We put those beans in there. And then the rest of the quart of vegetable broth. So a quart is about 4 cups total that went in there. So like I was saying, it's about 66 cents per serving. If you've watched my videos before, you know I make my own vegetable broth out of vegetable scraps. I usually cook my own beans from dried, and sometimes I got tomato sauce in the freezer from my garden. So if you are a kind of person that does that, then you would get away with even less cost for your vegetable soup. And there you go. So what's going to happen now is we're going to turn it all the way up to high, and you're going to bring this to a boil. So make sure it's boiling. Once it boils, you're going to turn it back down to about medium, and you're going to let it simmer for 10 minutes. And at that point, you might like to add some optional ingredients. I didn't include these in the cost because this makes an absolutely wonderful soup just the way it is. But I like to add a starch of some kind. And so I'm going to add a couple cups of cooked barley. You could do cooked rice. You could do noodles. I would cook those too before I put them in. If you wanted to add potatoes, you could chop up a potato and add that in there when you put in the frozen vegetables and the beans and stuff. But I like my soups to be more like a meal. So I'm going to add a couple of cups of cooked barley. The other thing that I'm going to add is a lot of chopped spinach because I look for every opportunity I can to increase the amount of greens in my diet. So, and with spinach, you know, if you have people in your household that aren't real good about getting their greens, this is a good way to kind of hide them in there. You can chop it in, and this big bowl is going to melt down to almost nothing in the soup. You'll hardly know it's there. So again, bring it to a boil, reduce the heat, let it simmer 10 minutes. If you're going to add the optional ingredients, put them in at that point and then let it cook another 4 or 5 minutes just so everything gets heated through and the greens get melted down. So that's my vegetable soup recipe. Like I said, it's healthy, it's easy, it's inexpensive. And I made myself a serving here in my new favorite mug glass so that you can see how pretty it is. It's just really beautiful. Let's give it a taste and see what we think. It's really good. Okay. We're going to put the description or the actual recipe in the description of the video so that you can find it there. And you can find all of our recipe videos on our YouTube channel at the cghmc.com website. Thanks for tuning in, or thanks for watching the video today. I hope we'll see you again.